On the start line, Rocky Mountains course. Transparent at the moment, that's because we're not moving. That means that people can ride through you if you're blocking the start line or the stops. As soon as we start moving, 10 seconds later, solid, and people will have to ride round us and we'll have to ride round other people. So you're transparent if you're on a different lap. So just move into one side to avoid that rider who cut across in front of me. Now you can do a lot of blocking tactics on CADEsport, and you can see here, I'll just keep into the left there to make sure that none of those block me off as I go through the slightly narrower bridge. Perhaps it isn't narrow actually, but it just felt it because of the fences at the side. So the road actually the same side, so no obstacles there. And remember that CADEsport does put obstacles at the side of the road, in fact sometimes in the middle of the road. This course has none. It has bends that you should stay up on, and you can see this bend sweeping here. You can see I'm probably doing it far too slowly because I'm way off the little red zone on the speedometer in the bottom centre of the screen. So I could have done that one faster. I didn't. This is of course demonstration ride. Beautiful graphics as we go down this mountain valley. Straight here, you can check out the course on the top left-hand corner. The yellow dot is us, and we're going up towards this round bend. Now you can see from the map that it's quite a sweeping bend, so there should be no problems staying up. You can see the red just creeping up on the speedometer on the bottom of your screen. Nowhere near where I am in the green, so I could be doing this a lot faster. A little bit cautious though, because suddenly these bends tighten and you can get caught out if you're a bit too eager. But that one's sweeping, it never went anywhere near the red. Could have done that one faster. Moving into the centre of the road again just to get round this cyclist coming up. About 7.5 kilometres this course. I think it might be a little bit more, but it's reasonably sweeping bends. You shouldn't crash. You can see the tricky bit of the course up in the top left. The map's in the top left, but the top left of the map itself, you can see there's a few bendy bits there. That's probably the most tricky section. Now, so many riders say when they're on CADEsport, I get around this course all the time and stay up, never crash. The moment you put me in a race, I start crashing. And that's because we lose concentration, we concentrate on other riders, we're too eager to catch up, and once you crash, you then have even more incentive to go fast and you take bends too fast. So this is one where actually you shouldn't really crash that much, but race conditions might just force it. And of course remember, it's sometimes better to go slow and stay up while others crash, because while they're crashed and they're down, they're losing time that you might have lost if you've gone too fast. But as I say, it depends. The tighter courses, you certainly see people who stay up the most win. On these big sweeping bends ones, you will need a bit of power too. And you can see there's some long straights on this course as well, so it is actually going to suit power riders. Like I say though, the tricky bends come up about 2/3 of the way through the lap. You see another sweeping bend here, nothing too much. You can see the red zone coming up on the speedometer at the bottom centre. My speed, which is represented by the green zone, nowhere near the red, very safe. Another big straight, could have done that one faster as I go round another rider, just using the steering there. So I haven't particularly used the braking at all on any of these bends. I've managed to go around them without braking, but like I say, I'm probably not pushing the fastest speeds on the straights as I go into the bend. Now remember, if you are going exceptionally fast, and this is more likely to be a problem when you're going downhill, remember this is an up and downhill course. You can see the profile just underneath the map. So it's pretty much up all the way to probably about just before the halfway stage, and it's mainly downhill. And the downhill section includes those little bendy bits in the top left. So you will have some momentum as you go into those bends, so care needs to be taken. We'll see how close we get to the red as we go down that section. We're actually just coming up to the long straight at the top of the course now. We've got this round bend, not quite 180 degrees, going into the inside of the curve as we bend round and still climbing. This you can see I could do this a lot faster because my speed is going nowhere near the red zone, so I'm not in any danger. Now onto this very, very long straight and downhill. Speed should be going up, and that will make the bends. You need to be a little bit more wary on the bends, I would say, as you hit them. But along straight here, this is where you're going to make up the speed. This is where you want to race and make sure you're in a good position. It'll be interesting to see how many other riders are around you. Remember, there are no obstacles or anything like that, so this will be a straight race, and unless the whole road's blocked or you're penned in with riders in front and by the side, you should be free to go at your own pace. Now, if you are penned in with riders either side of you and in front of you and there's nowhere to go, the only way that might be available to you to get around them is probably to brake. And if you brake, you can just drop behind, use the steering to get out and choose another lane and get around them. Now, CADEsport does tend to slide you out fairly rapidly. The steering effect makes it look as if you're almost sliding sideways, so it's quite instant and responsive. There isn't that sort of diagonal line that you might expect in real life. So you can move position quite quickly, and it makes it engaging if you are jostling for positions in a peloton, because you can react quickly. Like I say though, if you try and go sideways and there's somebody there, it won't let you out. So conversely, you can actually block people in on the courses where there's obstacles coming up. For example, you can sit there and not let the rider move into the clear lane and force them to hit an obstacle. So there's plenty of tactics to be played out with this steering facility, and it will depend on the course. I don't think this one is one that... now we're getting into these little bendy bits now, and you can see a little bit more caution. The red's coming around the halfway stage. I'm still probably going far too slowly as I tentatively go around these bends, shall I say, because I know they can be tight. I've certainly crashed on these bends in the past by going too fast, but going far slower than I really needed to around that little chicane there. So back out onto a relatively straight part. Now downhill means that it is going to be faster than it would have done in the other direction. So not only have I got to contend with the bends, but I've got to monitor my speed. Loving the way the sunshine filters through the trees and the rocks, and the riders go in and out of the shadows. Very realistic. Gives it a sort of bit of a glow, doesn't it, really? And it makes the scenery so much more enjoyable. One of the things I have liked about CADEsport with these mountain courses is the scenery is actually quite enjoyable to watch. Now we all know it's not real and it's only on the game, but it nevertheless it is pleasant. It's a nice experience. This bend reasonably tight. You can see the red comes around over the halfway mark, but I'm freewheeling, taking it far too slowly again. So in a real race, I'd be losing position. But look now, I've just got that one right. And here's another tight one. As it comes round, it's not as tight as it looked actually. But you can see my caution at last paid off. So the one bend where I probably would have gone down had I been a bit more eager, I managed to save the day. You can see here, this one's still free flowing, the red coming nowhere near the halfway stage. As we go under the big fountain, I always think that on a sunny day like this, in real life, the spray from that would be just absolutely beautiful to cool you down a little bit. Although having said that, it's on the downhill, so you probably wouldn't need it. But on the other direction, that would be nice to ride under. That wouldn't just cool you down on a nice summer's day. Not so much on a winter's day, of course. So, we're about 5.5 kilometres through this, still on the downhill section in the second half. Bends are sweeping, we've done the tricky bit, and we're probably going to have a reasonably easy ride down to the start finishing line. You can see, look, just that bend there, absolutely the red just on. So in actual fact, I just kept out of the red there. So a word of warning, just as I was saying, I think we're through all the tricky bends, we get a nice little run of them, and you can see the red just going over the halfway mark on the speedometer there again as we twist and turn around these bends. Now of course, once we get through this little set of bends, it will become straight and fast again. But of course, this is where your mindset comes in. The red, that looking tight, but the red's still not going to the halfway stage there, despite the bends twisting in either direction. So you can do those ones reasonably fast. And like I say, the mindset is though, if you get into long straights and you hit bends too fast, you are likely to not brake enough, or brake too late is the big sin that I think most of us commit. We hit the bend. Now you would be braking about here if you were going to brake. I don't need to here because this is a sweeping bend, but just brake before it. And I think this is the big mistake that so many of us make, braking that little bit too late. Once you're braking on a bend, you are likely to skid and come off. Under 2 kilometres to go to the start finishing line, and we're out of the sunshine here, so it gets a bit grayer. It's fantastic the way it does this. You can see the sunshine on the mountains ahead, making it a bit more interesting. Now, I've been caught, which only goes to show just how slowly I was doing those bends, because one of the riders behind has caught me. But I've got a big straight coming up, and I get the advantage here now, powering away. No risk of the bends and the red zone coming into speedometer and crashes. So to fire away and go for that finish as we go under the 1 kilometre mark and head down. Now there are a few bends on the finishing line. You can look up in the top left, but you can see how sweeping that one is. Massively sweeping, so you can do this one probably at full power, and probably the next one too, as we come into this valley with the sun bouncing off the mountainside to our right. These aren't modelled on real places, I'm told, but obviously they're inspired by real life mountains. They just don't replicate any particular real life mountain. So heading towards the start finishing line, we're going to end the one lap that we are going to demonstrate very, very soon as we hit the last bend before the finishing line. So that's it. Rocky Mountains, and it's not well, it is mountainous, but it's not steep climbing. This is not an alpine test. This is reasonably manageable gradients, so should be rideable at a fast pace. Just take care on the bends on the way down as we reach the start finishing line again. Enjoy.